Hello, everyone. My name is Grant Soffer, and welcome to another episode of the Launchpad here with Lvnding. Today, I am joined by a very special guest. His name is Christian Barone, otherwise known as his stage name of Burn. Christian, how are you doing today?
Hey, what's going on? I'm doing great, guys. Thank you for having me.
Christian, good to see you, man. I'm excited we finally got this chance to talk. I know we were going back and forth for a little bit, had to reschedule a couple times, but I'm happy we finally get a chance to sit down and just chat about music and just chat about life a little bit.
Yeah, thank you again I'm really excited for this.
Okay, cool, man. So I know who you are, and a lot of other house music fans who are really into the scene definitely know who you are as well. But for those of us who don't know who Burn is, tell us a little bit about who Burn is.
So my project Burn, it is more of a melodic bass house vibe. I do have future bass in my discography. I've got some bass music as well. Um, I actually have an upcoming single with my buddy Leash, which is also more on the trap side, something I don't normally put out, but I'm excited for. But Burn is the other half of me. When I'm not Christian Barone, a server, I'm Burn, the producer, the artist. And yeah, I started Burn during. I mean, realistically, I started it during COVID. That's when I took it more serious. I was able to put like my life on pause because of it and kind of just dive deep into the production world. And yeah.
All right, nice, man. Love to hear that. So did you start, so you mentioned COVID there. Did you start DJing during COVID? Is that when you started producing? Was there DJing before that? What did that look like for you?
So I was DJing prior to COVID at local clubs out here. I live in Palm Springs, so there's not a whole lot of electronic music going on. But there is one spot in particular that I would DJ on the weekends called Bart, and they were really big on like techno and house music. I try to get into the production world prior to COVID as well, but it was just so frustrating for me because I felt like I was learning a brand new language and I didn't really have the time between work and my personal life and trying to learn a new skill. Um, so once COVID hit, that's when I really like looked at myself one day and I was like, okay, look, this is your like one chance to like actually learn. And it felt almost as if I was going to school for the first time. I didn't have to worry about working. I didn't have to worry about anything. Like I would literally wake up, watch YouTube tutorials, practice on my dog, go to sleep, and my girlfriend would be watching TikToks, and I'd be, watching tutorials on my iPhone, and then practice those skills the next day. And it was a very frustrating process at first, but I don't know. One day it just like clicked in my head. I was like, I think with me, I was trying to make a specific sound based off of what everybody was listening to. And one day I was just like, you know what, I'm just gonna make what feels right. And that's kind of where my project took off.
I like that, man, because that's kind of where you get your first start is really kind of understanding what's right for you because that's how you're really going to get big. Like if you're just trying to copy another sound or just trying to replicate something else or try to go for a certain vibe, it's not going to be it's not going to be unique and original to you. So I really like hearing that you wanted to like get out there and start your own sound. I know like COVID for a lot of people was kind of a really tough time. And I'm sure it was for you in a lot of ways, but it sounds like it was actually kind of a blessing in disguise too, where you were able to really take some time to like focus on yourself and focus on this project of yours, and really help that kind of take off. So that's really good to hear, man. I love that.
Thank you. Yeah, honestly, it was a little bit of a blessing in disguise for sure.
Let's talk a little bit further back, just about your music journey in general. So I know you said you started DJing since about 2018, you started producing in 2020. So you have plenty of years of experience with that. But how'd you get into like where'd you find your passion for music in the first place? Like specifically with EDM and house music and bass house and all that kind of stuff too.
I love that question. So music isn't new to me. I actually I've been a guitarist for 15 years now. I played in metal bands and hardcore bands. I played in indie rock bands. I actually started in eighth grade. No, actually, my bad. I started in sixth grade on the clarinet, and there was a jazz band that would perform, and there was a bassist, and I was like, "Yo, that looks really cool. Like, I want to try that instrument." And so I tried bass for a little bit, and then Guitar Hero came out, and I used to play Guitar Hero all the time, and I was like, I'm gonna learn guitar. And eighth grade is when I like picked up electric guitar, and I never put it down after that. And then yeah, like I said, I was playing in local rock bands out here, and then I heard Lewis the Child for the first time. I heard the
Okay.
remix of Zella Days Compass, and
Okay.
those synth sounds. I was like, wow, what is that? It gave me chills.
Okay.
And I was like, because honestly, I was never like an early dubstep head. Um, Everybody was talking about Skrillex back then and Daft Punk, but electronic is fairly new to me. And I tell people that all the time. Like, I don't pretend to be like an electronic god or whatever. Like, I was a rock head first, and then picked up electronic music later. But yeah, once I heard that Lewis the Child sound and then Flume, I was like, I want to know how they made those sounds. So I when I started trying to produce, I was trying to produce future bass stuff, slash trap. And I think that's kind of where I get my sound now. If you notice, a lot of my tunes have my signature synths and that bouncy bass stuff. But I try to combine elements of future bass, trap, and bass house all in one.
I love that, man. That was actually going to be my next question. Where like, who are some of those early artists that you really drew inspiration from? So Lewis the Child being one, Flume was another one. Were there other artists that really inspired you on the when you first started getting into specifically like electronic music?
Medicine was one of the artists. He was a trap artist, melodic trap, and loved him. I saw him like so many times perform. Um, Honestly, yeah, just those three at first, and then obviously like my knowledge got bigger and bigger, and I searched up more artists, and now there's too many to even name. Like I feel like I'm always getting inspired by new artists that are coming along, and friends of mine. Like I have a producer duo buddies called Tripbox, and
Okay.
they are, even though they're like on the same wave as me, they're one of my biggest influences, you know?
That's awesome, man. I think that's really cool when kind of up and coming artists can really take that time to inspire each other because that's where you're going to draw some of your best stuff from. Because everybody can look at those big artists like Louis the Child or Flume. Like everybody has access to those people. They can draw inspiration from that as much as they want. But only so many people have access to you or to like other people in your friend group or things like that. So that's where you're really going to draw that unique inspiration from. So I really like to hear that. That's cool, man. So you mentioned a little bit, those are some of the artists that inspire you now. Where else do you like draw your inspiration from? Like what inspires you to like make music now?
I used to feel a certain way listening to those artists, and this is no cap. Like I said, music's been in my blood since I was young, and the excitement I would get like performing, like even just guitar, and which is a skill in itself. Um, I wanted to make people feel something, as cliche as that sounds. Like I really did, but also like my inspiration kind of came the less I went out, the more I like focused on, just jamming out alone. Like I would go on these benders in the studio of just like kicking back in the couch behind me, listening to shuffle mode on Spotify, really analyzing how these artists created these sounds, and then I don't know, just kind of doing it until I couldn't do it no more, until my ears gave out.
That's the way to do it, man. That's really cool. I like hearing that. Um, do you remember the first show that you went to? Like the first ever concert or music event that you ever went to? I guess well, because you didn't start in the EDM scene, so I guess it's a two-part question. Your first like music event concert, and then your first like show or festival once you did actually start getting into EDM at that point.
So my first concert, show experience, live performance was actually Coachella 2012, but
Okay.
it wasn't a planned thing. It was a very spontaneous like day of type thing. I remember going with my stepdad, and he was like, "We're gonna sneak in," and I'm like, "How are we gonna sneak in?" And one of the workers ended up sliding his wristband to us and letting us in. We had to pay him, of course, and that was my first like festival experience, live performance experience. And I remember hearing those big speakers and feeling that sub for the first time. And I was like, wow, I didn't know music could actually make you like feel that way. And that was very memorable for me.
It's wild that your first ever event or concert was like one of the biggest festivals that's put on in the country there. I'm sure that was kind of an overwhelming experience for you, huh?
Well, funny thing is I live like 15 minutes from the venue.
Hmm.
So I guess it wasn't that crazy for me at the time. Like, I mean, it was crazy, it was fun. But I didn't really know what to expect because Coachella was still kind of relatively new. So it wasn't all the hype that you're getting now. So
Mm, I guess that's true.
I just kind of went in blindsided, and
Yeah.
I was exceeded whatever expectations I had, it definitely exceeded them.
That's awesome, man. I remember that first festival I went to still very, very vividly. I just walked over uh, to one of the stages and I started hearing the bass going on, and I was just overwhelmed by what my body was feeling. I had never felt music like be so powerful. So I really related to what you were saying there. That's awesome to hear. Um, Go into like when you first started DJing and producing and playing shows and things like that. What was the first show you played? Do you remember like the nerves of that? Kind of walk me through what was that experience like for you?
Oh yeah, that was one of the scariest like days ever. I wasn't even producing music at the time. I was just DJing, but I was doing like a lot of bass house. And I remember going to my local bar, and again it was called Bar Lounge, and there was this girl that was DJing, and she was on CDJs, and I was a controller DJ at the time. And I just walked up to her and I was just like, "Hey, like I would love to learn on these and I would love to play here one day." And she was like, "Yeah, send me a mix." So I sent her a mix. A month later, she booked me. And I remember the fear of looking at these CDJs like, how am I going to use these? Like, this is super scary. And another buddy at the time let me go over to his house and kind of practice on them. And I sort of got it down. I had to use sync. I'm not gonna lie, like I used sync, and that's what got me through my first show. But I didn't really care too much. Like I was just kind of in the moment, and surprisingly, the show went really well. I didn't crash and burn like I thought I was gonna crash and burn. I got invited the next week to play, and it was a lot of fun. I still do remember that.
That's awesome, man. I'm glad that was a good experience for you. Yeah, I know those CDJs are really intimidating when you first start playing on them. Yeah, I have a DJ board too, but it's nothing like a CDJ. Every time I've like had to hop on a CDJ, it's overwhelming, man. I don't even know where to start or what to do. So I don't blame you at all for using sync on that. That's completely understandable at that point. So we talked a little bit about what like inspires you to like keep making music, but can we talk a little bit more about like what that creative process looks like for you? Like how do you go about like walk me through your routine in terms of making music?
Yeah. Okay. So I have kind of a weird routine. I know there's people out there that wake up to produce. I get burned out sometimes, and I hit these creative blocks, and I'm sure a lot of artists do too. But yeah, when I hit a block, I honestly just close my laptop, go to the gym, listen to music, even that's not electronic music, just anything to kind of get my brain, analyzing everything, and just kind of relaxing myself. But when I get into a creative mode, I don't know, I just wake up and feel it. I'm like, I'm gonna produce today. I'm feeling it. And I'll usually go through like sample packs or samples, or sometimes I'll create little melodies on my MIDI keyboard. But samples are a big inspiration for me for sure. I warp them. I feel like there's so much manipulating samples, and it's like an instrument in itself.
I like that. I like that. I know you gave me a quick tour off camera. Do you want to give all the listeners a quick little tour? I know this is your creative space right here. You got your little mixer in the back and all that. You want to kind of walk us through your space real quick?
So right in front of me is actually my monitor. I'm looking at my laptop right now, which is routed to my monitor. So I'm using like a dual screen.
Okay.
I have my MIDI keyboard in front of me, my studio monitors to the side of me, and then this is where I jam out. And I love that I can like have record box in front of me and then my standalone unit right there, so I get to kind of go back and forth between when I'm planning sets specifically, because I'm one of those artists that like, yeah, I can DJ on the fly, and if I'm playing like a 3-4 hour set for like a party or anything, like I will DJ on the fly because you do have to read that crowd. But
Mhm.
if I'm playing like a burn set specifically, I love to have my sets planned out because I know where I want to take you. Especially with the type of music that I'm making, it's not just, even though it is four to the floor. There's a lot of, I guess this is gonna sound cliche, but I love taking
Um,
people on that journey. Like you're down dancing to that four to the floor beat, and then all of a sudden there's like a nice break, and then it brings you back up. And I feel like when I plan my sets, I do pretty great job at that.
I can agree with that, man. I haven't gotten a chance to see you live. I hope I do someday. But I know you did a mix for us. Back, I think it was a while back now. I think like 7 months ago or something like that.
Yeah.
And that mix is incredible. That was the first time I actually heard Vibes on there, which is your new release. I don't know if you want to talk about that at all. But it officially released about a week or two ago. And I can say for me personally, I have had that on repeat for so long. That is like one of my new favorite songs at the moment. But walk me through that song because I want to hear what the process was like making that one specifically, where you see that song going. And I guess like a three-part question, what's the future? Like, what's the vision for Burn moving forward?
Okay, so Vibes is actually one of my favorite tunes. I feel like Vibes was the start of where I am taking Burn. Again, I did bring in those synths. I brought in that bouncy bass line. It's a very simple song, to be honest. I was a little bit insecure about it at first because of how simple it actually is. Like when I break it down, it's such a simple song. But I made it back in November, and I actually wrote it the day before a show because I wanted to debut something new. And I remember starting the project at like 5 p.m. and not putting it down until like 4 a.m. So I was honestly a good 11, 12 hours in the studio nonstop. I didn't even eat that day. And because I was just so like inspired by it. And it honestly, for me, I go on these benders of producing because when I hit a block, I'll go like a week or two without even touching my DAW. And when I do get inspired, I cannot put it down. It's like impossible for me to put it down until it's like finished. Um, but yeah, I teased that song at a couple shows. It went really well, and I was like, all right, cool, awesome. I ended up sending it out in December to Gold Digger Records, and I sent it with another song that I released with them called Runaway, and they accepted. Well, the A&R Socks, he's a really good friend too. He accepted both of them, and Gold Digger ended up going with the better of the two, which gave me the opportunity to send it to Night Engine because they were another label that I really wanted to get on.
Okay.
Danny from Night Engine had been following me for a minute, and he had heard my bass stuff, he had heard my trap stuff, my house stuff, and he fell in love with Vibes right away. And we ended up, signing that one to Night Engine.
Okay, nice. Yeah, no, you've had a lot of really, really good tracks coming out lately. So I know you kind of mentioned it. So do you see like the future for Burn kind of being more of the vibe of the vibe song, or do you kind of want to go back to like your bass house roots a little bit, or you kind of just open to whatever like the creative process takes you?
So I think as an artist, again, cliche response, but I don't want to limit myself to any particular sound. I think I'm having a lot of fun making the music that I'm making right now. I can't say what I'm going to feel in a year or two. and I don't want to limit myself to one specific sound and then disappoint my audience later when I make something new. I I want to make what just feels right to me. I don't want to force a sound. Right now, I know that Burn is on that melodic bass house wave, or as Socks and I like to call it, pastel house.
Okay, I like that.
And I think I feel kind of lucky to be one of the few artists that are making that type of music right now, especially with that tech house wave that everyone's trying to do or that everyone's doing. And a lot of respect to that. I personally can't write tech house. I've tried to do bass house, and as much as I enjoy listening to both of those genres a lot, and I do include them in my mixes, my brain is just not wired to produce that kind of stuff. And I think that stems from me being a guitar player, so I enjoy a lot of melody. Um, so yeah, I think for now I'm sticking to the vibey stuff.
Okay, I like that, man. That's good to hear because you definitely don't want to limit yourself to just one sound. But also it's really important to understand like, okay, what is kind of the vibe or the sound that like I really want to like get known for, like help my project grow kind of thing. So that's awesome to hear. Because me personally, when I listen to your stuff, that kind of stuff is my favorite. Like vibes, high. I think it's called Runaway. Let Me Down is another really good one. I know you did that. Was that a collab with I want to say District 13? Is that right?
Yeah, so District 13, he's an Arizona-based artist, and
Hmm.
him and I actually did an EP together. So it
Oh
was
wow.
Let Me
Okay.
Down, Everything You Do, and Erase Me. It was a three-song EP, and Let Me Down, I think, got more known because we did a remix compilation for it that came
Yep.
out the beginning of this year. A lot of talented artists on there, Dylan Hecker, Too Soon. So yeah, that's where I say like I have quite a bit of a discography with different, I guess, different genres of EDM.
Okay, that's cool, man. Uh, do you expect yourself to do any more collabs like going into the future? Do you have any collabs planned with some artists right now? Anything you can tease for us with that?
Yeah, so I have a collab coming out next month on the 2nd with an artist named Leash, and that one's more of a melodic trap uh single that we're doing together that we did together. That's coming out on Tribal Trap Records. And
Okay.
again, that was one that we started back last year, and I kind of put it on pause for a bit because I started branching into that melodic bass house. And then he hit me up one day and he was like, "Yo, let's finish this." And I was like, "You know what? Let's finish it." Like, I know I'm focusing on this sound right now, but I would still love to show that I still have other things coming.
Okay.
So
I like that. What's it look like for you when you're collabing with other artists? I know all artists have different experiences when it comes to collabing with people. Do you find it easier to like collab with other people, or you find it easier kind of producing by yourself? Like, what does it look like when you're making music with other people?
so it's funny because I actually tweeted about this yesterday.
Oh, did you?
And it was my tweet went something like when I'm alone in my studio when I'm just doing my own thing, I feel like the sky's the limit. I could make anything, I can do anything. But the minute I'm in front of another artist that I look up to or working with another artist in person, I feel like I forgot how to produce. Like the nerves are intense, and I get like scared. Um, and I don't know if I'm just the only one, or I'm sure there's other people that feel that way too. But yeah, I work best alone. I work best off of stems. So I usually always tell artists like, yeah, send me stems if I, resonate with the track they want to collaborate on, or vice versa. I'll send stem offs to artists that I feel like have a similar sound as me. I think the only time I've actually worked on a track face to face with someone has been with my buddy Too Soon.
Okay.
Again, big bass head in Arizona. He's
Yeah.
killing it. But him and I have a song called "You and I" together, and that came out last year on Badmouth Records.
Okay.
And we made that on a Zoom call.
Oh, okay. Nice.
So I sent him stems, and he ended up hopping on a Zoom call with me, and it was two or three sessions where we finished it off, and it was weird because like even though the nerves hit, I was still in my studio space, and I think that like helped me ease up because I was in familiar territory. I don't know if it's just a mental thing, but yeah.
Okay. I like that. I like that. Switching gears a little bit, let's talk outside of music a little bit. What are some of your passions outside of music?
It used to be skateboarding when I was younger,
Okay.
but I'm like older now and
Yeah.
I'm like scared of like breaking a leg or breaking an arm because I have bills to pay now too.
Yep.
So
Don't
music
want a
is my
hospital bill.
passion. No, exactly. Like, dude, adulthood is crazy. No one
Hmm.
prepared me for this.
It really is, man. Were you ever like good at skateboarding? Because I did that as a kid too. I was never good at. I could do like an ollie. You could never do like a kick flip. Every time I went to the skate park, I was embarrassed myself. I don't know. Were you ever any good at it?
I was good at flat ground skating, like doing tricks and
Okay.
stuff, but
Yeah.
I was never good at the skate park. Like I would see these kids
Hmm.
jump off stairs and I'd be
Yeah.
like, nope.
They're intense, right? I was always a kid that came with like full helmet, knee pads, elbow pads, everything, because I just didn't want to get hurt too. And I'm watching these guys just fly and do all these crazy tricks out there. It was always kind of insane to see. I ended up taking up like longboarding when I was in school and things like that, just but that was more so just to get around. Wasn't necessarily to do like tricks or anything like that. That's funny that you mentioned that you used to be into skateboarding there. But you said like now your passion is music. Tell me a little bit about that.
Dude, I wake up and eat and sleep music. Like the only time I'm not listening to music is when I'm at work because I can. I have to serve guests.
Yeah.
That's the Christian Barone side of things. But yeah, I literally wake up and the first thing I do is I'll put on my AirPods and listen to like a morning playlist. Go to the gym, I'm listening to music. I actually love driving more than anything because I love just like that's where I discover most of my music is while
Mhm.
driving.
Just kind of put on a random playlist and find some cool tunes on there.
Hmm.
I love that. You
I
mentioned
guess
yours.
another, oh, I'm
Oh,
sorry.
go ahead. No, you go ahead. I'm sorry.
I guess another thing I do on my off time when I'm not working on music, I game. I'm not like the biggest gamer, but I'll play some like PlayStation and some Call of Duty and stuff.
Okay. Nice, nice. I like that. Um, you mentioned you're a server as well. Where are you a server at?
Yeah, I'm a fine dining server, and that's kind of what's paying my bills right now. I work
Okay.
at Morton's Steakhouse.
Oh, okay. Yes, definitely know that one.
Yeah. So that's like I said, that's what's helping fund my brand and
Hmm.
pay my bills and support my livelihood.
It's good, man. Yeah, no, that's it's good to have like multiple gigs going on at once. I love to hear that. Let's talk a little bit about like what we can expect next from you. Any like teasers or anything that you can put out there for us? I know kind of have to wait to officially announce certain things, but anything you can give us a little teaser on?
Teaser as in like an audio clip or teaser as in
No, let's yeah, like I guess like new music coming out. Do you have any like shows or festivals coming out? Like where can people find you?
yeah, so I mean, you can always reach out to me on Instagram. I'm pretty good about responding to any DMs I get. I don't think I'm too cool to respond to anyone. Like literally I love engagement. I love engaging with people in general. I do have an upcoming festival this August 28th. I believe it's a Sunday. It's a Sunday. And
Okay.
I'm playing on the main house stage with my buddies Tripbox, with Tony Romera. He's the headliner for the house stage. You got
Okay. Nice.
1788L, uh, Caption, Hex Cougar, and then a bunch of other producer homies that are on the same lineup. And that's gonna be my first festival, and I'm really excited for it.
Yes, man. You said so that's a Sunday, August 28th, and where's this one gonna be at?
That's gonna be in Long Beach, California, by the Queen Mary.
Okay, perfect. I was actually just out there for day trip. I wonder if it's gonna be a similar setup to how they had it set up there.
I'm hoping. I saw pictures of Day Trip, and it looked insane.
It was a very, very cool venue for sure. I think it was a little overcrowded, but I think with a smaller crowd that has potential to be like one of the best California festivals there is. So I'm really excited for you getting to play at that venue. That's going to be awesome. Sounds like you're
Thank
going to
you.
play with some really big names there too. So that's cool to see too. One thing we like to practice here at Moon Landing is gratitude. So with that, what are some things you're thankful for or have been thankful for over the years?
Honestly, I'm really thankful for a lot. One of the things I'm thankful for is my girlfriend. She actually helped create my brand with me. We were both, kind of sitting there over dinner talking about, creating Burn, and she helped me come up with the name. Another thing that represents my brand a lot is, this kyanite that I wear around my neck. I've worn it at every single show I've ever played, and I wear it when I produce. The whole meaning behind it is kyanite supposed to represent creativity and self-expression. And my girlfriend's really big on crystals, so our apartment is literally covered in crystals.
I love that.
Like to the point where like our apartment's probably going to collapse from how heavy it is from all these rocks in our place. But I remember when she first introduced me to crystals, I looked at them and I was like, these are expensive rocks. And I kind of joked with her and I picked up a rock from outside. I was like, free. Um, and she kind of showed me her collection and I was drawn to this kyanite like instantly. And she was like, keep it. And I was like, you sure? And we ended up researching why I was drawn to the kyanite, and it was because of that, self-expression and that creativity that it gives you, and that just became part of my brand now. So obviously, I have the pulse in Burn, but with all of my IDs and even my Spotify playlist, I have the pulse cracking in between that kyanite. It's my lucky charm. Like I can't. I'm not me without it. It's weird.
Last question I have for you, Christian. Is there anybody you want to give a shout out to? I know we were talking earlier about some local artists that inspire you and where you kind of get a lot of your inspiration from, but who do you want to give a shout out to?
Man, I have a lot of shout outs, but I'll keep it simple. I want to give a shout out to my best friends, Tripbox. I've learned a lot from them. They're a producer duo making the same type of melodic, funky, fresh bass house stuff. Everybody go check them out. They're super talented and even more genuine, nice people. I have a lot of IDs and unreleased collabs in the works as well. So I don't want to give too much.
Yeah.
But quick shout out to the homie Spacewalk, the little homie LMR, insane 17-year-old producer. Like he's killing it out in
Oh, wow.
Arizona. Yeah. Him and I are working on something big right now, and he's insane. Another shout out to my homie from San Diego, Dice, who's also killing the G house music right now and the mid tempo stuff. Let's see who else. I got shout out to my boy Leash, who has a collab with me, on the second that I'm excited for. Just too many people to name, man.
Nice, man.
everyone right now is killing it.
Yeah, I know we have a lot of really good talent up and coming in the scene, which I really love to see. But I'm really excited, happy I got a chance to sit down and talk with you. I personally really love your sound. I think you're really going places with it. So it was really nice getting the chance to sit down and talk with you. Anything else you want to put out there for our listeners here?
Yeah, I want to give a shout out to Moon Landing for, sticking with me for this past year and checking me out. Like I really do support that as an artist. I know Moon Landing let me curate a mix for them. Uh, you guys are doing an interview. Everything with Moon Landing has been really awesome. You guys are a really cool blog, and I support you guys, and I appreciate you for supporting me.
That's awesome, man. I really appreciate that. I know it's something we've been working hard on as a team over here. We've grown a lot in the last year or so, hoping to keep that growth going. And it's artists like you and all those people you shouted out there that help the brand grow. And we're hoping to grow right alongside with you guys. So and help accelerate your guys' growth as much as we can too. So again, really awesome talking with you, man. I don't think we have anything else we need to touch on here. So with that, thank you guys for listening. This was an episode of the Launchpad with Christian Barone, otherwise known as Burn. I'm Grant Soffer, signing off.